Hey, as we're letting everyone in, just a reminder, this is casual. So I hope everyone brought their cup of coffee or tea, their snacks, quick break from work from the professional day, or early morning for people. Thanks for joining us if it's early morning your time or late at night. Just wanted to say a quick hello and then I'll give a chance for Andy and Sarah to say hi. I'm Darian. I'm the executive director of the Global Coalition for Radiotherapy. Sarah and Andy, do you guys want to say hi?
Yeah, thank you so much, Darian. I'm Sarah. I am the director of Radiotherapy UK, which is a charity based here in the United Kingdom.
Hi, I'm Andy, and I'm a patient rep on the board of Radiotherapy UK. So occasionally I can be grown up when I need to be.
Andy's the star of the show today, so thanks to Andy for joining us as our special guest. Just some quick housekeeping for everyone as you're entering. Make sure that you keep yourselves on mute for a little bit. We're going to run through a couple of slides and give a chance for Andy to share his perspective with us, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. And so use the chat for questions. If you have any comments, introduce yourself. We'd love to hear, even if you have just feedback on how the event went for you, or if you had other events that you were hosting, throw it all in the chat. We'd love to capture it all. And then also anyone who's joining, who's learning more about radiotherapy, please throw your questions in. Hopefully we get a chance to answer all of them a little bit later. So I will dive into what is World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. It has been just a fabulous weekend, continuing opportunity for us to raise awareness about the essential role of radiotherapy in treating cancer, relieving symptoms, and improving the quality of life for patients. And this Awareness Day has been a lot of prep coming up to it, and we're just really thrilled of how it has come over across the global community. Our objectives for the day: to raise awareness, which is in the name. That was really essential that we had that in the name to make sure that we were building the profile of what is radiotherapy. Highlight the global need for access. We know that more than 200 million people around the world do not have access to radiotherapy. So this is part of the essential reason why we're building this day. To educate not only within ourselves and our community, but also those around us about the life-saving treatment and about what professions are in the radiotherapy community, and then also about debunking myths and building around how we can teach what radiotherapy actually does and how it improves lives. And then finally, and not finally, this is really important, recognizing radiotherapy professionals around the world. Right before we started the meeting, Sarah said something really awesome, that this really was a day for radiotherapy professionals to shout loud and proud about the good work that they do and to feel a sense of unity and community by bringing it together. All right. Oh, yes. And the planning that it took to get to where we were. We had some fabulous events leading up to this big day. So it didn't just happen overnight. Our fabulous co-chairs of the committee, Sandra Turner and Katie Wakeham, I don't know if they're able to join us today. You might see them in the chat, but anyways, a huge round of applause for them. They were fabulous in building this movement. You can see this picture on the left from London Global Cancer Week in November 2024, when the initial movement was brought to a larger stage. And then through gathering the societies and gathering the community together, a lot of planning events along the way to get us to this date. So thank you to our massive community for being a huge part of that. All right, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Darian. And Darian, thank you so much for your positive energy and your absolute drive and commitment to making this day happen. It has been wonderful to see and a total force to making this RAD day happen. So why September the 7th? So this date was chosen to mark the date the very first cancer patient was treated with a linear accelerator. And that happened at Hammersmith Hospital in London in 1953. And this totally revolutionized cancer treatment. And so it remains a really powerful and symbolic date for radiotherapy. So that's why September the 7th is the day for the World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. And as Darian has said, World Radiotherapy Awareness Day, it is a global movement, and it's an opportunity for everyone within the radiotherapy community to get involved. And that includes patient groups, radiotherapy societies, the fabulous radiotherapy workforce and their wider cancer teams as well. And of course, the industry partners and the sponsors. And as we have seen in the week leading up to September the 7th and continuing on through this week, hundreds of groups and organizations have really celebrated and engaged with World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. And most importantly, this amplifies the message of the importance of radiotherapy within cancer care. And I think what's really important about this then is that that is reflected within our World Radiotherapy Awareness Day theme. And the theme for this year was One Voice for Radiotherapy. And you can see that it's one voice for every patient. It's one voice for curing cancer and easing suffering with radiotherapy. One voice to raise awareness of radiotherapy. One voice for the well-educated and skilled teams that deliver it. And one voice to make lasting change for global cancer control through radiotherapy. And again, this is about globally recognizing the vital role that radiotherapy has in cancer treatment. So now I am very delighted that we are joined by Andy Tudor, who is going to speak about World Radiotherapy Awareness Day from a patient's perspective. Andy is brain tumor survivor, award-winning patient volunteer, a podcaster, an advocate, and he's also a very valued member of Radiotherapy UK's board. And yet, amidst all of that, he has still found the time to join us today. So we so appreciate that, Andy. Over to you.
Wow, thanks, Sarah. How can I possibly follow that introduction? I'll do my best. Yeah, so I'm Andy. I'm here basically because I've had radiotherapy treatment. So as Sarah said, 8 years ago, I had a brain tumor that was surgically removed because it was so big. And then 3 years ago, I had some regrowth. So it was about 1.8 centimeters, which in my world is quite a small brain tumor, but it was well formed and appropriate for radiotherapy. So about 3 years ago, I entered the world of radiotherapy, having known nothing about it before. So I received stereotactic radiotherapy, or gamma knife as it's also known. I was treated at Southampton Hospital in England, and thankfully it's been a success. So my recent scans have shown that it's all been treated and it's been destroyed. There's some scar tissue left, but I'm now back to my normal self. Whether that's a good thing or not is debatable, because of the power of radiotherapy. So why am I involved in this? Why do I want to be here? So a part of the challenge I had when I was told I needed radiotherapy, like I probably most people, is you're pretty scared when you're told you need radiotherapy because you normally need it for something that's life-threatening. So when they say you're going to need radiotherapy and this is what it is, your brain's not listening. It's thinking, oh dear, I've got big problems to worry about. So a couple of things I can do, or if I can do as a patient, I think it's vital. So one of them is, wouldn't it be great if we lived in a world where the first time you hear about radiotherapy isn't when you're told you need it? Because your brain isn't very receptive then, and it's a big scary. Just radiotherapy itself sounds quite scary. So anything we can do to raise awareness of what radiotherapy is and also what it isn't, then that for me is really important. So part of the patient voice is if I can represent those that have had radiotherapy. I also think maybe me that if people hear about radiotherapy from someone who's had it, they probably pay a little bit more attention. No offense to the amazing workforce out there, but what I found when I was told I needed radiotherapy, there was nothing out there for patients to tell you about radiotherapy from patients. So it's like, okay, this is a gap if I can help fill it. So, for example, one of the things I did was where I was treated at Southampton Hospital, I helped them produce 2 videos about radiotherapy, one on radiotherapy, one on stereotactic radiotherapy or gamma knife. Now, in the 2 years since they've been published, they've been seen by over 18,000 people. So that's a lot of people who have seen what radiotherapy is all about before they actually have to have it. So that's an example where being a patient, and just telling people, explaining what happens, what goes on in radiotherapy, I think is part of what I can do as a patient. I'm not clever enough to be a radiographer or radiotherapy person, whatever they're called. But I've got experience, lived experience of having had radiotherapy, so I can hopefully demystify radiotherapy, explain to people what it is, what it isn't, so that when they have radiotherapy, they know a bit more about it, and also they'll be a bit more hopefully relaxed during the treatment itself, which could hopefully help the treatment. So that's one of the main reasons I'm kind of here and doing this sort of thing. The more we can raise awareness. The other massive issue is I know I'm very lucky that I live in a part of the world where I have access to world-class radiotherapy. So that doesn't apply to millions upon millions of people around the world. So that was a shock to me when I entered this world of radiotherapy, how the inequalities of treatment around the world. To me, it's shocking because radiotherapy doesn't just save lives, it saves quality of lives as well. Now, I've had surgery and I've had radiotherapy, and believe me, radiotherapy is a lot easier to go through and has a lot less late effects or after effects than surgery. In my case, at least, and I know everyone's different, but in my case, radiotherapy was far, far easier and better for me than having surgery. So it just seemed a no-brainer, and it's cheaper and it's easier to apply. So why isn't it more equally accessible around the world? It was a shock. I couldn't believe it. So if I can do anything through sort of campaigning or again raising awareness or just highlighting the benefits of radiotherapy, not just to the patient, but in terms of it being a better treatment all round, then there's more chance of us equaling access more around the world. So that's the other big thing for me is think of the hundreds and thousands, if not millions of lives and quality of lives that we could save if we can get better access to radiotherapy around the world. It's just so if I can do anything to help that, how powerful that is. So that for me is why I'm kind of sat here involved with World Radiotherapy Awareness Day, because it hits both of those sort of areas right, sort of nail on the head in terms of raising awareness, making people aware of what radiotherapy is and what it isn't, but also hopefully highlighting how the inequality around the world just it has to change basically. And if I can be a part of a very small part of a massive machine that makes that happen, fantastic. How wonderful that would be. So that's kind of why I'm here. Also, you can probably tell I talk a bit. So if anyone has any questions or if they want to know anything about radiotherapy from a patient's perspective, from my perspective, I'm happy to talk about anything because it really wasn't that difficult in my case, being a patient with radiotherapy compared to the outcome. So if I can make it less onerous and less scary for other people, then that's also why I'm here. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions or any ideas or any thoughts, I'm more than happy to talk about it. So that's why I'm involved. So I'll hand back now to the clever people, but that's kind of why I'm here.
Oh, Andy, you are the clever person. Also, you're just amazing. I mean, your energy and passion, and I thank you. I'm honored that you would call us a big machine because this is the first day, everyone knows, the first World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. But it does feel like a big group, right? A big global group that has come together. And I mean, you hit it on the head. Like, if we can all come together and share that one voice, we will make a difference in thousands, millions of lives. So thank you so much, Andy. We'll come back to Andy because we're going to ask questions. So throw things in the chat, please, please, please. I'm just going to share briefly why GCR, the Global Coalition for Radiotherapy, is involved with World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. As Andy said, this is core to GCR's vision. If we improved access to radiotherapy, we could save 1 million more lives every year. I mean, that statistic alone, right, has all of us passionate and engaged to say, let's come together, let's make a difference. At the core, I'm showing some pictures of what GCR is all about. And at the core of GCR is advocacy, and not only advocating on just in one place, but all across from the ground floor to the top discussions about how we're going to implement radiotherapy into national cancer control plans. We really want to be at every level, making sure that radiotherapy has a seat at the table. I chose these pictures to feature some of our fabulous residents who are involved, our different ambassadors from around the world who've been engaged with the GCR, people who have been involved with building the Radiotherapy Essential Standards, which is a project to ensure that radiotherapy is implemented in facilities and in national cancer control plans, and advocacy is at the core of that. And then also the opportunities that we've had to engage with political leaders. And even here up in the right-hand corner, a picture from the Otmadit Hospital in Ukraine with our radiotherapy task force, the work that we've done there to help support when radiotherapy patients and professionals' lives and well-being has been in danger. So we, over the 5 years that GCR has been around, has built a community, a collaborative community to work together to make sure that radiotherapy is prioritized. And we've seen over the years, I will always remember this quote from one of my favorite oncologists in the UK, who said, there's a lot of radiotherapy people at a big, roundtable discussion talking about the future of cancer care. And I think the year before, there hadn't been as many radiotherapy people. But year after year, we're bringing radiotherapy like higher profile among the people around the world and saying, let's make sure radiotherapy is prioritized. Let's not underutilize this very important and life-saving treatment. So the GCR is very honored to be a part of World Radiotherapy Awareness Day and to support it. And we have such a fabulous committee that is behind this. And it wouldn't be anything without that committee. And it's really an honor for us to have both Katie Wakeham and Sandra Turner as the co-chairs, and then also our wonderful committee. And I'll just mention them briefly and pass it to Sarah. Sarah is a part of the committee as well. Lucinda Morris out of Australia, Jeff White from Astro out of the US, Michelle Leach from Ireland, Thomas Merchant from the US, and Tom Harding from Singapore. And the committee is growing because we have so many people who are keen to be a part of it. So we really do hope that that will grow and we'll see more ambassadors joining in for committee work in the future. All right, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Darian. And again, I just wanted to take a minute just to talk about why Radiotherapy UK is such a big supporter of World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. And again, it comes to our core mission as well. Like the charity's core mission is to break down the barriers and to champion equality of access to radiotherapy for all patients in the UK. And while our focus is in the UK, we see the global benefits of radiotherapy. And we really do believe in the power of a united radiotherapy community to support patients wherever they live. And I suppose that comes through in our work because we really believe in the power of advocacy and how we bring the life-saving potential of radiotherapy into the heart of UK Parliament, where the decision makers sit, where the budget holders sit, and how we ensure that radiotherapy really is part of the national health conversations and receives both the resources and the funding and the strategic leadership that it so desperately needs for cancer patients. And in collaboration with the radiotherapy community in the UK, last year we developed a vision for radiotherapy. And it's this document that I've highlighted here on the slide. It's world-class radiotherapy in the UK. And that is about creating a roadmap to ensure that every patient, like Andy, who was lucky enough to receive world-class radiotherapy, all the other patients across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland also have that same opportunity because currently it's not there. And our work really does challenge status quo. But key to this, it's about amplifying the voices of those who have received radiotherapy and those who are delivering radiotherapy and bringing them into the heart of Parliament. I actually think Sally's on our call today, and Sally is featured in the middle of this picture, who is a patient advocate with the charity. And she's standing beside Brian Robson, who's a very famous Man United and English footballer. But I think she's probably the most important person in that picture. And that's who we want to speak to MPs, to tell about the reality of receiving cancer treatment, what's going well, and what needs to improve. Because we really do believe in the power of patient voices, in the power of the radiotherapy workforce, and bringing that to the decision makers. And for us, World Radiotherapy Awareness Day, it embodies those same values. It's about improving access to radiotherapy, and it's about providing a platform for those who need it to share their stories. And so we're really, really proud to stand behind World Radiotherapy Awareness Day and support this global movement. And now, this is a coffee and catch up. So we would love to catch up with all of those who've joined us here today. I have my coffee. I have some cake as well. And please do feel free to put any of your questions or your comments that you might have into the chat. And we're going to try and get to as many as we can. So I would just like to say first, I know, Darian, you have a burning question you'd like to ask Andy, and it is really, really important. So if you'd just like to kick off with that, and then we'll come to the chat.
Thanks. I know I prepared a couple questions, not that we wouldn't have a lot anyways, but Andy, your experience is so important and so valuable. And as you said, your passion for, like, if you can just help one person or one family, feel educated. Obviously going through the process, like you said, receiving radiotherapy and hearing that news, so scary. So, so many unknowns. At what point in the process did you turn from, like, being patient, receiving the treatment, to saying, I'm going to do something more. I'm going to share my voice as well?
I think it was probably fairly soon afterwards, because when you're going through the treatment, in my case, you're so focused on the treatment itself, and it's all new and it's all different, and it is all scary. But there was zero information there for me as a patient from other patients. So, for example, the first time I saw the room I was treated in was when I walked into it for my treatment, and I received shouldn't laugh, but I don't know if they still do this, like a 2 or 3 page set of instructions, and one of it had on the back, "Don't worry, you won't be radioactive." I'm like, what? I didn't even know that was a possibility. So fairly soon afterwards, once I'd got over sort of my fatigue, I thought, this is wrong. I want to try and help others going through it, so they don't have to. You don't want to rely on Dr. Google. That's the last thing you should do. So then it was pretty soon afterwards, and then I think Sarah reached out, the power of social media, and I got invited into the first patient engagement group with Radiotherapy UK, which I thought, because I was thinking, how can I get involved? What can I do? And then thankfully the charity reached out to me and said, this is how you can get involved. It's just snowballed from there, really.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing. I think that's, so important to identify the gaps, right? And then say, what can I do to fill them? So yeah, really valuable. Sarah, have you seen things come in the chat that we want to?
I have. So there's a question from Jeremy asking, does anyone know why it's taken until 2025 to have this treatment celebrated worldwide?
Good question. I know we have people in the group who probably can answer that question maybe better than Sarah and I can. Who did I see that was in here? Mary Gaspadarovich joined us. I don't know, Mary, if it's very early your time. Frederic, also, you've been in the field for a long time. If you want to chime in, I see.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, hi, Mary. It was about why it has taken so long to have this treatment celebrated worldwide. Why have we taken until 2025 to have a World Radiotherapy Awareness Day?
Well, I think, first of all, congratulations on a very successful day. It's very necessary. I think it took a long time for people to wake up to show that evidence is not enough. As a clinicians and researchers, we always think if you bring enough evidence to the table, then things will just happen. and they're not happening, even if the evidence is there and has been there for decades. So I think the civil society voice, the voice of patients, support groups is very important. I recently collaborated with Chris Jackson from New Zealand, who was very involved in scaling up the cancer service in New Zealand, and he is very much on the forefront of the movement among clinicians to say evidence is not enough. You think if you just provide enough evidence through trials, through publications, that things will just happen. You need to build a movement, you need to build advocacy, you need to engage patients, you need to engage public. And what Andy said resonated very much with me. You don't want to hear about radiotherapy just the day before you need it. You need to raise awareness of people before that. So yes, it takes a long time. Yes, people forget, but that's why the civil society voice, which is what this group is so important. Not only in radiotherapy, but in many, many aspects of cancer care and healthcare. But because radiotherapy is so specialized, it tends to sort of fall below the sideline, because people always talk about what are the top 3 priorities. You don't have to be top 3 priority in order to be a priority. So thanks for this. This is a very, very timely and good initiative. And I'm so pleased to see so many people engaged.
Thank you, Mary. Really great comments. And thank you for being an incredible advocate yourself from, day one and being such a big part of this as well. And Mary also helped author a really great piece in Astro that they just published over the weekend. So take a chance to read that as well. Any other questions, Sarah, that came through?
Just a question from Nick also, just about how we actually make radiotherapy treatment more accessible to all. And I suppose whenever I was thinking about that, Nick, I was thinking about there's the practicalities, the equipment, the workforce. There's really good work that the Global Coalition for Radiotherapy are doing on essential standards as to what radiotherapy needs to look like to deliver modern radiotherapy globally. But it's almost what Mary was saying there as well. It's about influence, and it's about speaking to the governments, and it's about having radiotherapy front and center within cancer control plans within every country as well. And that is a piece around advocacy and campaigning, and helping those people who make the decisions and who set the budgets to understand not only the evidence, how cost effective radiotherapy is, the benefits it can bring to patients, where radiotherapy is now in terms of its highly advanced, high tech treatment capacity, but also what the benefit is for them in doing that. And it all has to sit together. It's a jigsaw. Nothing can sit individually and make this happen. It's all different pieces of the jigsaw coming together, which creates a movement.
And Andy, actually, will you share a little bit about what you shared before we started the meeting about not talking to ourselves and bringing in the, wider audience to this conversation?
Yeah, I think that's the key part. One of the key parts is it's this whole movement. We need to make sure initially that there probably has been a lot of talking to ourselves within the community. We need to try and work out and use this fantastic base to break out from that. So we start reaching people who haven't heard of radiotherapy before and hadn't even thought about necessarily radiotherapy being an issue. So I think that's why this is so exciting. You've got to start somewhere. We've made a really good start. The next point now is to make sure that we're engaging outside of the radiotherapy community, so we can use our voice as a community to spread the word even further and even wider. And that's, I think, how we'll tackle some of these issues, certainly around worldwide inequality, by just making people aware of what radiotherapy is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great feedback and great thoughts. I think too, collaborative partnerships that we have beyond the radiotherapy community. I see some of our great partners here. Matt Hickey, hi, thanks for joining with Health Value Alliance, and the broader organizations that we're engaged with that can bring that radiotherapy voice along with the work that they're doing is also helpful. I see someone asked about recruitment for clinical trials, increasing access through, It was MD Abdul, who shared that they were doing hands-on experiences with different organizations and universities around the world. So it's like the opportunities we have to collaborate beyond just our own community, I think will help us also bring that radiotherapy voice along the way.
And there's a few comments here from John and Yvette just about that importance, Andy, of what you were saying around patients being aware of radiotherapy, and Mary alluded to it there as well before they actually come into the room. John was just talking about a patient who was in hospital and had very little information other than that, and is contacting other patients, and that's really, I mean, that's a really strong network to have, and I'm so glad that the patient engagement group that we work with, are so active and so supportive of each other, because there's such value and strength in that. But we also need to be getting that out through all departments as well, to ensure that that's not hit and miss, that it's every patient who goes for radiotherapy has that at the right time for them when they need it. And I think that's really key as well, within this World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. It's how we bring both patients who have had radiotherapy, but those who maybe are going to have it or don't know they're going to need it. Because we know that 1 in 2 cancer patients should have radiotherapy as part of their treatment curative plan. And that's really important, that we just do much more to ensure that we are talking to everybody in that pathway.
Absolutely. Any other questions or comments that anyone wants to share or shout out? I know we're at the end of our half an hour, but we told Andy he could keep talking forever if he wanted to.
I'm cheap as well, so I'm all right.
Oh, I love this from Allison Bowman as well. Attending county fairs, speaking in like public settings about radiotherapy. And Allison, I know you had a bake sale or a bake off, not a bake off, a bake sale, a bake off, and there was like fabulous pictures on your website of different cakes that people had done for World Radiotherapy Awareness Day. That was really cool. We're a creative bunch. We can really, look for ways to reach the audience and the broader public in a lot of ways. Jono, do you have something?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate on what I'd said, that it's a diagnosis and then a pathway of radiotherapy should be explained in depth on day one, and not as a surgeon saying surgery went well, you need radiotherapy, but we'll talk to you about that a bit later on. Because that just causes fear and panic, and we would rather they didn't mention it unless someone was going to sit down and actually have that discussion with you.
Thanks so much for bringing that up. Sarah and I had a chat last week as we were starting into World Radiotherapy Awareness Day, and she asked about some family members of mine that have just recently had radiotherapy treatment and asked how they were doing. And I was able to say they're cancer-free. And and she said, what a privilege. What a privilege, right? Yeah, to say that, because there is access to receive that. We need access, we need education. And we need that in places where radiotherapy is already available, but we need that in the 38 plus countries around the world where it's not available. So a big thank you to everyone for all of the fabulous work that was done over it was a big rush over the past couple of weeks, but I know this is years and years of dedicated time in your professions and in your work that you've done. So thank you all. Thanks for joining. We've recorded this, so we're going to share this and hopefully get an opportunity to share it as well with the broader community. And I'll just do a quick shout out at the end for anyone who wants to get involved or join and be a part of this. Our big calls to action are to join us as partners. So get your logo up on our website, throw an event, promote anything you want on social media, and tag us. And please, we're still celebrating World Radiotherapy Awareness Day forever, always. But this month is a big month for us, especially as we lead into big events that are happening around the world, different cancer conferences and Astro at the end of the month. So you will continue to see us shouting from the rooftops. So make sure you're following us on all the social channels. And A big thank you to Andy for joining us today, and to all of you for joining and sharing your experiences and your questions with us. Have a really fabulous rest of the day, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Great.